Hello everybody and welcome to Late Night APAC Play-Ins 2023. My name is Shorts. I'm joined by Mr. Scott Kennedy. We're back again, Scott. We're here.
Back on the APAC cast, you know. they happen once in a blue moon, but we're here to enjoy it. And hey, we got some good matches. We're here at the play-ins. The teams have their final opportunities to make it to Toronto for the playoffs. Happy to be here.
Yep. First game of the day. Shanghai Dragons versus the Dallas Fuel. Now, let's be real with ourselves here. APAC, bit of a fun region. I would want to use a different word beginning with F. Fraudulent, perhaps?
No,
they're seething in the green room right now.
Yeah.
But like, it was been quite funny, and the reason why I say that is because Dragons right now not looking strong at all.
Yeah.
Like one of the worst forms we've seen in Dragons in a long time. Dallas Fuel, on the other hand, are on the up and up.
Yeah, Shanghai Dragons, it just had a struggling season. It started with the flat tank at the beginning of the season that raised a lot of eyebrows, and it feels like it's just been damage control and trying to sort of rebuild from there. So, you know, it's one of those things that, like, as a team for the Shanghai Dragons, you just need to try and find some form because they do have great players, right? Historic players of the Overwatch League. It's a question of, are they going to be able to string it together when it really matters?
Yep, I mean, now. It matters now. We're in the play-ins. Like, you need to make it through this bracket alive, right? I mean, on the other hand, though, the Dallas Fuel, even with a big big patch shift, they've seemed to be doing pretty well. And another patch shift potentially coming up soon, too. Like, I think Dallas Fuel might just be in with the playoffs run of the century at this point.
Yeah, maybe, right? Like, that's always possible. Like, as you said, with the patch coming up, the Zarya meta is coming, potentially, as we're all assuming, right? If Dallas Fuel can get there, that is a meta that they should feel very comfortable. You know, Hanbin playing that Zarya is something we've seen over the last few years, and it's incredibly dominant. And when they play those kind of compositions, that's where they're at their greatest strengths. The biggest issue they've been having as of recent is that they've been having to play these Junker Queen compositions that we think they should be quite good at, but the Hangzhou Spark just have had the better end of them over the last few matches.
Yeah, I mean, the Spark are also a fierce contender, I will say, in the play-ins and just in the APAC region over the last few months. It's been quite an interesting year, I think, for APAC. And Avril pinging me, by the way, I just want to put this out. Avril pinging me. You're catching hands from me at LAN. Okay, yeah. Dudes
you're
catching from the green room, seething.
You're catching hands from every single APAC fan out
drama.
there, you know?
We need drama right now. I'm inciting drama, so when I wake up tomorrow, I just see a flood of memes on the timeline and Bad Pachamari getting his predictions wrong. So
hey, honestly, let's let the players do the talking and the teams do the talking, right? That's what we're excited for. That's what all these teams right now are playing for the opportunity to go to Toronto, to play at the playoffs, to play on land, where that's really the most even playing field that we have. And these teams are going to be able to sort of settle the debate of which region is better, and do these teams from the East, have they made improvements that we didn't see from them in the midseason madness? Because let's be honest, in the midseason madness, the Eastern teams did fall flat. They weren't able to hang with the top end, you know, your Houston Outlaws, your Atlanta Reigns. Maybe in a Zarya meta, maybe after these few months, they could hang.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big question. Can they actually make it to the playoffs and just continue to, you know, dominate? It's been strange because I think with the mid-season madness, everybody kind of expected the APAC region to do very well. And like the expectations of a lot of the teams on the upper end were just so high. But then you compare them to North America and how like Atlanta Reign were doing, Outlaws, like Boston Uprising, like Mayhem. They're just the strongest teams in the league right now. Like I think APAC in general has a lot to prove in that regard. I mean, we're obviously guaranteed to have APAC teams in the playoffs. It's not like they're meeting beforehand in some kind of amalgamation Hydra joint play-ins bracket where they have to pay NA to get to playoffs. You know, that would be ridiculous. But so we are at least guaranteed to obviously see the top teams. And for any team to make a run, it's got to be the Dallas Fuel. Like with this potential Zarya meta cropping up soon, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it was Zarya. In fact, it would be the complete opposite. I'm like pretty sure it's going to be a Zarya meta just because of how crazy the patch was. And that is insane. Dallas Fuel back to back, get just an insane run in playoffs maybe and go all the way to the finals just using Hanbin Zarya.
Anything's possible, right? And that's what all these teams need to do. They need to be flexible. They need to be strong. But if we're looking at today's matches, one of the big things that the two teams we're really looking at is the Dallas Fuel that we're predicting they should be able to get over the Shanghai Dragons. On the other side of the bracket, Seoul Dynasty has been making a miraculous run as of late of just like finding the form at the right time. On the back of Krillin playing this Alari and the team playing around it, and Bellis Rhea just having a Giga Chat Orisa, they've really been able to take that next step. And now Seoul Dynasty are also coming out of the woodwork, potentially able to make a run, make their way to the playoffs in Toronto.
I mean, Profit needs to make it to playoffs. So here's the schedule for the Eastern Division. Is the incomplete path to pro, if you will. OD contenders, Summer Sage, East, and then obviously we are right almost at the very end here. The play-ins and then the playoffs just around the corner. Well, almost at the end of the month. I mean, we're flying out soon, Scott, so it's going to be a good time. Obviously, here's the teams right now for the play-ins. Fuel, Dynasty, Charge, and Dragons.
And this is going to be a double elimination, so first two matches are happening today. Every team will get a second lease on life after they fall down to the lower bracket. So we've seen crazier things happen in APAC. This is really where silly season comes to breed. And we haven't seen Guangzhou Charge or the Shanghai Dragons in a few weeks at this point. So what have they improved on? What do they have to show? Because as much as we do consider them to be struggling teams, anything is possible. They do still have great players. And with the meta so volatile as it is right now, who knows what we could see? Maybe Guangzhou Charge could channel their inner Chengdu Hunters and just throw something wacky at the wall, and it could pay off.
Yeah, maybe that energy sort of lingered around, man. I don't know. There you go. There's the bracket, like you said. Double, a limp. So Dragons, Fuel, Charge, Dynasty. If they do lose here today, they will get another chance to make it all the way through. And yeah, I think that's the best thing about it, honestly, just being a double elimination. And Dragons, it's going to be a tough time for them. I've got to imagine SPG, their last opponents, lost them twice in a row, Scott. So not feeling too great. Dallas Fuel, on the other hand, though, like I said, big resurgence. This is their time. Honestly, you just make it to playoffs. You pray that it is actually going to be the Zarya meta, put Harmon on Zarya, and then win the championship back to back.
And Dallas Fuel, they're a team that they've lost 3 matches. Ever since June was the last time they lost a match that wasn't to the Hangzhou Spark. Dallas Fuel have been flawless over the last few months playing against some of these contenders teams and the Overwatch League teams, except for against the Hangzhou Spark. They seem to be their kryptonite. So Dallas Fuel, you need to just channel that, accept that you're better than some of these other teams, and just prove that right now you deserve to be at these playoffs where you can get your rematch against the Hangzhou Spark. But the Shanghai Dragons, let's take a look at their roster. Looking at these names, this should be a roster that's very strong right now.
Yeah, they should be dominating. Hisu, Viper, Fate, Gangnam, Jin, and Iris on support.
We got Fate.
A moment.
Yeah.
He's taking a moment, dude.
Just sort of breathing it all in, just accepting,
He's powering up, man. He's like Goku. Yeah. He's ready. He's powering up. About to go Super Saiyan. Dragon's about to 180 their last few matches.
And if you look at these rosters, you look at 2020, you go back to 2020, 2021, and you saw Fate, Gangnam Jin, Iris, and Hisu on a team together, you'd be like, this is a great team. And then you add on top of that Viper, who has had almost rookie of the year level performances if his team had had more success. This is a roster that I think has punching power if they are able to string it together. We've seen them over the last couple of weeks playing some of this double flex support with the Alari. They've been playing some Orisa Rush, just doing a lot of the standard compositions. Now they just need to string it together to be able to play against opponents like the Dallas Fuel and the roster that you're looking at right now.
So look at our hype video for the Dallas Fuel though, before we get into the game. There you go. The Dallas Fuel, last year's champions, want to make the play-ins run straight into the playoffs. Maybe hit a back-to-back. There's your lineup today, Scott, as well. Edison, Sparkle, Harmon, MTD, and Bliss.
And there's no shortage of clutch players who have experience in crucial matches, right? Edison, Sparkle, Hanbin, they all made that miraculous run last year through the playoffs to win the championship for this Dallas Fuel. And with additions like Bliss and MCD, we've been expecting great things from this Dallas Fuel roster. They just haven't really been able to string it together. They have had their moments, and right now they have to answer the call. And honestly, I'm looking at that man, Hanbin. He has been lights out on the tank ever since he came into this league. We know how good his Junker Queen is. We know how good he is. And just any of these mechanically intensive heroes, they need him to step up once again.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy too. Man, I still remember when Sparkle joined the league, dude. The bidding war that was going on for him was just insane. And it's good to see the Dallas Fuel kind of living up to their former glory last year, coming in. And they're expecting a 3-0, just a quick and clean sweep. Just beat the Dragons while they're feeling a bit down, but obviously Dragons need to come back. Anything but a 3-0, I think, here for the Dallas Fuel. Might be a little bit of a disappointment, honestly. Let's have a look at some stats, though. A little head-to-head on Lucio. Bliss versus Gangnam Jin. Bliss kind of just rolling him in almost every department here. Actually dominating.
You know, let's remember, Avril said coming into this season, Bliss could be the next Chio. He is the underclassman of that older generation, and he has been phenomenal on the Lucio for the Dallas Fuel, and that's definitely a win condition when you compare him to Gangnam Jin, who historically was a flex support player, has moved over to the main support, and left a lot to be desired in his play. So Gangnam Jin going up against a tough opponent in Bliss. Can Gangnam Jin have that same level of playmaking on the Lucio, or will we see the Dragons move over to playing a Larry Baptiste, which will make Gangnam Jin feel more comfortable in some respects?
More at home, maybe. Lijiang Tower is our first map here. Is loser picks too. Do not forget, play-ins rules. A lot better of a format too. Loser picks always feels a lot more hype too. Not knowing what kind of maps we're going to a little bit later on. So yeah, Lijiang Tower here. So what are we expecting for the Dallas Fuel, Scott?
Dallas Fuel, I expect so far over the last couple of weeks, they've been playing a lot of this Junker Queen. That's where they feel at home. That's what they want to play. The only real wrinkle that the Dallas Fuel have had in their own game plan is every time they play Hongzhou Spark, which, as I said recently, has been a lot. Hongzhou Spark play this like Doomfist Winston style that they just counterpick whatever the Dallas Fuel play. I don't expect to see that from the Shanghai Dragons. So let's see how Dallas Fuel want to employ their Junker Queen setup now that they're not having to deal with these strange threats that the Hongzhou Spark have been throwing at them. Because so far, for the Shanghai Dragons, they've just been playing very stock standard.
Well, let's have a look. All right, Control Center. Always a good litmus test, I think, of what teams do want to run, but not too surprising to see Dallas Fuel in this kind of comp. Harmon Shaq, I mean, you saw on the hype video, Scott. Just so clean. I'd love to see Edison back on the Sojourn, honestly, too. His Coliseum performance in the grand finals was just... He was the biggest clutch player of all time, I think, in that. But Bastion is good enough for me. Little fake Reinhardt, too, to moisten the palate. Start off the day.
And yeah, the Reinhardt versus the Junker Queen. We've seen this from time to time. Obviously, the advantage that you get when you play the Reinhardt, you have that shield to be able to absorb some of the damage. But the Dallas Fuel, they have that commanding shout to give them that overhealth and allow them to disengage just like that.
Oh, nice knife. There's the big axe swing too. Viper knocked around the corner there. Lamb got taken out by Bliss. A melee onto the Lamb. You don't see one of those too often, especially from a Lucio. Easy kill. And there goes the damage. As soon as Viper dies, that is about it. And yeah, he's still on the wrong side of the map. Same with the rest of the Dragons. Point unlocked. He's still being contested, however. Is Edison so close to falling to Hisu. 1 HP. Survives and caps.
Surprised we're not seeing Dragons use the Symmetra teleporter to give themselves the positioning advantage. Just felt like they ran into the front line of the Dallas Fuel and just got absolutely axed in the face. So now the Shanghai Dragons at a disadvantage, but they do have the amplification matrix. Short teleporter to get some space.
Very short, very early window though. Edison.
Goodbye, Faye.
He's frying. Faye put him on the barbecue.
And all of a sudden, we got a Symmetra here. They try to stagger a Symmetra. That's not going to work with the teleport out. Ooh, oh, nice knife.
Hit the knife, though. All good.
And Hanbin is no slouch on Junker Queen. Let's be honest. We saw him play it last year. Absolutely phenomenal player. And now Dallas Fuel, even more old advantages coming their way. They have both these BS ults, and Hanbin just holding the front door. So far, Fate hasn't been able to get in these fights at all.
Oh, Mortar Strike coming down. Sparkle's already dead, though. Headshot from Viper. Edison whips out the turret. Fate ends up falling yet again, but this time to Bliss. That was just way too late coming out of Iris right there. I mean, a nice little flip, but Bliss and Edison just kind of rolling the Dragons. Fate falls yet again, and you're expecting Fate to do a fair amount of damage there, especially with the utilization of the wall from Hisu, but wow, Fate just getting rolled. Late land from Iris, that cost them the fight. At least they cost Fuel 7%, I suppose, but still not in a good spot.
Yeah, Fate needs to find a way to stay alive. Feels like he's just getting absolutely obliterated by the damage of the Bastions. And now Hanbin has this rampage. Gangnam Jim will have the sound barrier to answer.
The Space Greater. Flurry Strike. Rampage hits Fate and Hisu, but the bait came out pretty early. But Fate already down again. 1 HP. Oh, he's dead. He's dead to the bleed. Nice sound barrier by Dallas Fuel too to counter that. You know this is going to be last fight pretty much. 85%. A little stagger on Iris there, Scott. But there's all ults down. Fate's got the shatter, and that's about it.
Just too much damage being done. Gangnam Jin.
Okay, Gangnam Jin.
He'll get a touch at least. That is the silver lining. So Dallas Fuel won't be able to stop Gangnam Jin from touching. But
I do not know. Pepe laugh. Gangnam Jin is in. Oh, nice move. Oh,
it's almost got him.
Though. Huge. Fate, do not die challenge. Window on the high ground for MCD, helping Edison with that additional damage. Tiller Strike coming in. Fate wanting to use that shatter. Does hit. But ends up going down to the turrets. Sparkle's turrets doing a lot more work than he did in that fight. That is for sure. Or at least that kill. Viper pops the turret form and Will's mode activated using that wall to good effect. But at the end of the day, I think Fuel, especially with Hanbin and Bliss in the front lines, not a good chance that Dragon's going to win that one. Round number 1 goes over to Fuel.
Fate saw the writing on the wall and he said, I send my regards. Drops the Earth Shatter on his way out. Hits 2, but it's just not enough. It doesn't feel like Shanghai Dragons just have any standing in the fight. They're always playing at a disadvantage because Fate is just falling time and time again. That's probably explaining why we're seeing Fate move over to this Orisa. Well, let's see some of this Hanbin Junker Queen.
Oh my god.
Later.
You know what that looked like? It looked like this is not an interaction that happens, but it looked like, because of all the damage and the burst, it looked like the axe got boosted through the window. And he just like an absolute, like a gore howl level smash on his forehead.
It levels up to epic level and does like double the amount of damage.
Level. It's an artifact weapon and then it's got like 7 tiers to it. And that's Hanbin's weapon right there.
We are going to see a switch up here, Jack. Viper goes over to the Genji, Hisu on the Sojourn, Fate going over to the Orisa, and that gives them these opportunities to find these one-shots, gets it on the Sparkle.
Come on, Hees. Okay, well, he's least, but not in your backline. He's actually going back to his own spot. Edison and Bliss. Most kills on the team so far.
Yeah.
Quite easy for Bliss and Edison.
Yeah, Edison has been surprising on this hit scan. You know, obviously last year we saw him really hit another level on the Sojourn. Starting this once again on a more unsuspecting pick of the Bastion, but Sparkle over to the Genji as well, not wanting to play the Symmetry against this Orisa setup.
Hisu tanks the nade. Oh, Sparkle on the Genji. We are being treated here today. I'll tell you right now. At least get one blade there. There's the window. Hanbin in trouble, but Fate is 2. Window comes out. Pretty late one there for MCD. Mortar Strike lands. Ooh. Oh, it's just too easy for Edison. You see Iris there trying to use the Exo Boot Scott to try and get away, but his head hit the little roof. Come back down to earth and straight into a grave. The Fuel, I mean, what are you looking at now? You're looking at a sound barrier? I mean, Fate struggling on this Orisa too. I mean, Bliss, if he really wanted to, could just beat into them at this point.
Yeah, but I think you just save it for the Blade at this point. There's no other threats that you need to deal with. Maybe wait for the overclock, but so far in this map in general, the Dallas Fuel haven't really had to do anything. It feels like the Shanghai Dragons are just feeding into them, and Fate is usually the target of the ire, and he's just falling before anyone's able to do anything.
All right, Viper, what you got for us? There's the blade. It's been pulled. Instant sound barrier usage. And there you go. Just inting onto the back line. Edison and Iris do end up trading. Sparkle with a nice little reflection damage onto Gangnam Jin, but Gangnam Jin gets a boot. Sparkle needs to clean up now with the resets. This is now Hisu rips the ultimate. A late sound barrier too from the Dragons. They're investing into this fight heavily, and they are not winning at all. Hanbin kept alive by Bliss in the front line. Oh, takes a headshot. Finally shut down by Hisu. That overclocking sound barrier did win them the fight, but
Only
Sparkle
just,
and Eddie,
not even.
they are still alive. Blade pulled by Sparkle, just chasing down the Lucio. Gangnam Jin a little bit too quick on the heels, does manage to run away, but it's going to be enough time for the Fuel to cap the point again. Last fight territory for them now.
Fortunately, Gangnam Jin does get away with his life. Great little sort of movement play from the Lucio, dodging out the Sparkle Blade, but as you said, Jack, 93% and counting. They have to get back onto the point.
Huge terror surge coming up. There it is, does land. Harmbin backing up though. Fate instantly killed. All good. Another day in the office for the Dallas Fuel by the looks of it. A solo rampage. Why not? Cherry on top with these mortar shells. I mean, Hisu, I'm going to be honest with you, Chief. That kill on Bliss is great and all, but you need something a little bit extra. Nice little nade through the window. One shot in Gangnam Jin. Sleeping with the Fishers now, and Sparkle finishing Viper. There we go. Dallas Fuel. Fate's dead too. There you go. All right. Dallas Fuel 2-0 on Lijiang Tower. Wow, what an absolute stomp. Like, that is just... that is a lion versus a mouse moment. Like, the mouse ain't winning.
And you spoke to it, Jack. Yeah, Dallas Fuel, they're coming into this series being like, we want to win this 3-0 decisive, show that we are the better team. And for me, that one fight that the Shanghai Dragons lost where they got multiple advantages, they popped the overclock, they popped the sound barrier, still not able to close out that round. That's just not enough execution that they're going to need if they're going to take down a team of the caliber of the Dallas Fuel.
Dragons, their map choice up next. Dallas Fuel, though, firmly in the lead at 1-0. Welcome back. Dallas Fuel and the Shanghai Dragons. They're going at it, Scott. Well, Dragons aren't. Fuel are. I mean, that was just a roll. Let's be real. 2-0 on Lijiang Tower. We go to Eichenwalde as our next map. That's Dragon's Choice. And yeah, I mean, what happened there? Fate?
Let me break down the strategy. Fate runs in. The rest of the team tries to follow up. They run into Edison Bastion. Fate dies. The rest of the team proceeds to die. And on top of that as well, it's not just Fate going in. The rest of the team doesn't feel like Fate's getting the support. You called it multiple times. Maybe the immortality field's coming from Iris just a little bit late. The support not really there. The DPS aren't finding picks with their ultimates as well. So a lot of the fundamental issues that we've seen from the Shanghai Dragons throughout the entirety of the year still peeking their ugly head right now. Maybe as we move over to Eichenwalde, we've seen them play the double flex in the past. Maybe a composition they're more comfortable with that will deal with this Junker Queen composition from the Dallas Fuel a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, ideally you just have another flex permanently, right? Eichenwalde is definitely the map to do that. Not on control, you need Lucio. You just got to have it. And you know Dallas Fuel are going to be running that too. So what would you like to see from the Dragons? Is it more Orisa? I mean, you're not going to match Eddie on the... not Eddie, sorry. Harbin on the Queen. There's just no way. But, I mean, something like Orisa just wouldn't be so bad. Just put Viper on a good hit scan and just let him roll, I suppose.
Just slow down the game, in my opinion. It felt like Shanghai Dragons, it felt like they were always at a position where they were the ones that needed to engage. They had to initiate, and they were just walking into the meat grinder time and time again. Play a style that, as you said, enables your own hit scans, enables Fate to just sort of play slower, play back, and then they win passively by just existing, forcing Dallas Fuel to be the ones that have to make the move, because that is really how Dallas Fuel were punished against the Hangzhou Spark. Dallas is just always trying to come up with answers, but they weren't doing anything. Right now, it feels like the Shanghai Dragons are playing the Dallas Fuel's game, and it just hasn't worked out so far.
Well, we'll be Fuel on defense first. It's their choice. So they're looking to make this a quick one, is all I'm saying. They want to defend first. They will just want to hold first for eternity. Then only have to cap 33%. Ooh. So he's Hisuido. Grapple.
Ooh, I thought that was Symmetra for a second. I thought that would have Sparkle was dancing with death.
Damn. Symmetra has grown rather tall since I lost Taller.
So we're actually going to see Shanghai Dragons not come out and play the double flex support like we've seen from them in the past. They're going to play a Lucio and an Ana. This does give them the threat of the Nano Blade with Viper that should be able to hopefully win them fights. But once again, they are going to be having to play Lucio. Oh, great spear on the Sparkle and a nade followed through.
Big nade. He does end up getting traded. And I mean, so let's look what happened last map, Scott. So what's happening right here. Edison's also just not getting touched either.
Yeah.
He didn't take hardly any damage in that engagement. I mean, with the Lucio, you need to go. Like, your Lucio's good at, like, disengaging from the enemy team speed boost, from the enemy team shout, etc. But if you got a Lucio of your own and Edison's just sitting there doing free damage, you need to just speed on him at some point.
And that's also not dealing with the Sparkle Genji. And because they're playing an Ana, they're going to have less healing than they would with a Baptiste. Fortunately for them, they are coming up to a nano boost. Are they just going to try and put a basic one on Viper? You don't want to have to wait around waiting for the Viper Blade.
No.
There it is.
Nano is in. Viper. Oh, clean kill. That nade. Oh, nice. Reset onto Sparkle too. Okay, Viper. Okay. That's how you get it done.
And that's what we've been talking about, right? That's the power that Viper brings to this roster. He's been exceptional as a rookie player for the Shanghai Dragons. He doesn't even need the blade. Just give him the nano, let him tear through the backline. MCD just wasn't able to withstand the amount of damage, and from MCD falling, nothing else the Fuel can do. So this is a much better look from the Shanghai Dragons so far than what we saw on Lijiang Tower.
Oh,
Sparkle down as well.
Okay, that's not a good start to this second point defense here. Getting to the high ground is going to be a little bit tricky. Although with that Terror Surge, it might be a bit easier. However, you're running into a rampage. The only problem with Eichenwalde Castle, you are just running down a small choke. Perfect for the Queen.
Yeah, but if they can just keep pushing this cart, keep getting this nano boost up, they can just use another nano to win another fight on Viper. They can use the nano blade, but Dallas Fuel aren't going to let that happen.
Oh, they're just going to go in. Bliss and Hanbin, just a hitman squad. Nice little sandbarrier there from Gandon Jin, keeps them alive, and Spark ends up going down 99% towards his own blade. If Viper pulls his. So close. No nano invested either, Scott. But they have managed to, like, reset here somewhat. Comes up big for the fuel, at least buying a little bit of time.
That was a pretty good fight for the Shanghai Dragons. You traded 2 ults for 2 ults, and you got the card moving once again? Oh, no, Iris.
No, the spear spin ran out.
I think Iris thought maybe all the shots have been taken. It gets caught jumping in the wrong direction and falls to the Bastion ultimate. So all of a sudden, that trade that I said was beneficial for the Shanghai Dragons no longer is. So now they have another nano boost up. Are they going to give it Hisu on the overclock? It's going to be so difficult to find angles of people to shoot at because they're all standing at the top of the castle and Hisu's stuck at the bottom.
Well, here's the blade for Sparkle. Unfortunately, isn't going to be offered the nano boost. They don't have the Ana. I think someone should switch. Personally, that's the Genji play. Fate just taking infinite damage again. Already used all cooldowns. Almost gets taken out with basic shurikens there. Oh, the miss of the sleep. Oh, it hit the nade though. Nade, punch. That's one dead Sparkle. Fate and Iris already down. Hisu has managed to rotate off the top of the castle. Scott hasn't got a good angle at all. Saw Bliss there firing a few Cheerios at him, but that's just about it. And now the retake of the high ground will commence. I mean, Hanbin just waiting this one out. Doesn't really need to mess with Viper as he's deflecting. And there you go. Here's the reset once more. That payload not really making much progress at all.
It's going to be so difficult for Shanghai Dragons to just dislodge the Dallas Fuel. Bliss hasn't even had to use the sound barrier this entire time. So Shanghai Dragons going to take the fight to the Fuel. Looks like they're going to try and walk up these stairs, route all the way around so they can take a more even fight. They have another nano boost. They could put it onto Viper. It worked so well on the first point.
Yeah, there it is. Nano onto Viper. Soundbarrier comes out really early from Bliss, though. They want to make something of this fight. Viper just trying to one-shot MCD. The big nade does land from Iris as well as that Terror Surge, but Fate is actually the first one to fall. 2 now down as Gangjin Jin also follows him to the spawn. Hisu trying to dash out as Hanbin looking for more picks on the exit, but with 1 minute and 45 seconds to go and a nice knife onto Hisu. Another stagger kill. Hanbin's accuracy with these jagged blades just second to none. Shanghai Dragons just struggling every single thing they're throwing at the fuel right now, just getting absolutely dominated.
This goes back into what I was saying earlier, where it feels like the Shanghai Dragons are playing into the Dallas Fuel game. They feel like they have to be the ones engaging on the Fuel, and Fuel are just responding with ultimates of their own. And because they have that advantageous positioning, it feels like Dragons are the ones that are always getting first blood against them. Fate's just taking too much damage, and with only an Ana to heal, it doesn't feel like they have the healing to keep everybody up.
Here it comes. Iris, watch your head. Soundbarrier coming in, making sure Iris doesn't die. Here comes the Meteor Strikes, or the Mortar Strikes, I should say. Dragon Blade has been pulled as Edison goes anti in that small room, but it doesn't matter. Again, Hanbin just sets him up and sets the team fight up for the win. Hanbin is just too powerful, man. Way too powerful.
He's just too good. We talked about the strength of Hanbin and how he really is the crux of the Dallas Fuel, and he's showing exactly why on this map. And another blade that goes by the wayside for Viper that just doesn't find the value that it needs to.
And the big thing is here for the Dallas Fuel, they know the Dragon's win con is to get on top of Edison and just kill him. So Hanbin saving a lot of those cooldowns. The shout, they're also saving Lamp.
Oh, nice execution.
Almost still been saving the ultimate, right? The Rampage to help him out. Nice little boof actually onto Hanbin, who does end up going to sleep for just a brief moment. And here we go. Here's the push. Overclock has been pulled as well from Hisu as he takes control of the high ground now as the Dallas Fuel are in retreat. Payload's moving, but over the timer is approaching.
Yeah, only a nano boost up for Iris, and Sparkle has a blade. You talked about how great he is as a Genji player. He doesn't have a nano boost to work with. How's he going to get any value?
Nice push in.
Huge nade.
On the nano. Yes, sir. Nice reflect kills. Viper just getting instant resets in that small corridor. Really nice play there from Fate, pushing everybody into the room right in front of Viper.
Viper is nasty, man. He first starts it with an execution onto Sparkle to get them through the second point, and then just cleans up after a beautiful biotic grenade from Iris, and just the sheer recognition of the situational awareness around him to just be able to execute these players. He's currently diffing Sparkle, in my opinion, when his team's getting diffed.
Oh, nice sound barrier. All right, instant disengage. You don't have to preface that with my opinion. He is straight up doing better than Sparkle right now on the Genji. You know, love Dallas Fuel, love Sparkle, but unfortunately. These blades have not been it. And there you go. Again, he's taking him down mid-blade. Sound barrier coming through with the Shanghai Dragons. They're throwing everything into this fight. If they can make it a good one, make it a clean one, they might be able to get it near that final checkpoint. Harmon, the only one alive. Look at that window placement too from MCD. Just kind of got dominated there by the Shanghai Dragons. They went way too aggressive. Hisu even on a 10 kill streak. Look at this. Overclock available to them. Nano boost too. They could just hit some one-shots out of the gate. They just got to be careful of Harmbin, Scott.
Yeah, Harmbin with the Rampage. Also, Edison with the artillery strike. He's been finding multiple people every single time so far.
Iris hits the 3-man nade. There's the nano onto Hisu. Instant kill onto Harmbin. And there you go. Map completion with time to spare. 14 seconds in the time bank. Hisu with 3 kills at the very end. Wasn't slow-mo, but we'll still count them. We're nice like that. The Shanghai Dragons just kind of collapsed on the Dallas Fuel. Dallas Fuel, as soon as they lost that second point, it was basically all over. The ult cycling from Dragons was just so clean.
And you can understand why the Shanghai Dragons have decided to move away from the Baptiste and onto the Ana. Not just the nano boost going onto Viper that found so much value, but Iris finding value with the Biotic Grenade time and time again, hitting multiple targets. That's what was shutting down the Sparkle Blade. Every time Sparkle tries to go in, they're getting hit by the Biotic Grenade. As we watch Hisu, we know a phenomenal hit scan.
Where is that window from MCD?
We are way too aggressive, it feels like, for a defensive team. It felt maybe it was one of those situations, you know, where you're like looking at the stairs and then you step up a little bit much on the stairs.
It's like 1 pixel and it's it like zips.
We've all been there. Yeah, we've all been there.
All right. Well, defense time now for the Dragons. Got time in the bank too, so they're feeling real good about that, considering how disastrous their first point defense was. Or offense was, sorry.
Interesting that as I praise the Ana switch from Iris on attack over defense, they decide to prioritize sticking to the Baptiste, maybe preferring to have the Immortality field against some of the threats of the Dallas field, but sneaky beaky play from Shanghai. Just trying to get some percentage points.
A little 6% ult charge.
I guess if the Widow did peek and go for that grapple shot that everyone loves to go for, you potentially could just one-shot her without it.
Yeah, because you throw spear, shurikens, Cheerios, like you threw everything, right? So you could one-shot it.
So now Dallas
unlikely.
They're the ones who have to be able to get in. Early shout, early teleporter as well.
Dude, call them the Houdini team. Where did they appear from? Viper already down to a boot kill from Bliss. Dallas Fuel continuing not to mess around. Nice teleport there coming through from Sparkle. And that is first point.
Completely unaware. Shanghai Dragons were not ready for that level of speed. I didn't even expect it. I saw Harmbin pop the commanding shout, and I was incredibly confused why he ripped it so early, but they timed it perfectly with when they went through the Symmetra teleporter, and just too much pace for the Dragons to hold on to. And 5:30 for the Dallas Fuel. That's a very quick first point capture.
Oh, yeah. They're looking like London out here with those TPs.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Forward hold, though, for the Dragons. The Fate does best, just hold these doors. Here comes the teleport though. Boom, boom, boom. Everybody's through. Now we have the high ground instead. Oh, Axe Wing can be ginormous there. Forces the lamp. Can they get the payload away from the Dragons? They can. Yes, they can. They're just going to steal it.
And now
they can't step up through the doors. And now the onus is on Dragons to try and find something here. There's a window available, but Viper's already dead. Nice little right click from Sparkle takes him out. I mean, Hisu's just dashed onto the point. Can he face MCD? MCD hits the shift. But with Iris down and a fully charged Sparkle, no chance Dragons survive this.
Yeah, smart play from Dallas Fuel. Dragons, they wanted to flip the map after the Dallas Fuel TP, but as soon as Dallas has that card moving, exactly like you said, Jack, all of a sudden they're the ones who have to step up, and Dragons sort of getting outmaneuvered by the Dallas Fuel so far, and it hasn't even cost the Fuel that many ultimates as they're holding the choke once more.
Oh man, things that make me feel pain. That wall splitting people. And these meters coming. Oh my god, that was close. I mean, Hisu almost went down and ends up going down to the Carnage. Well, I mean, speaking of Carnage, this is just a roll. Like, what am I witnessing right now? This is record-breaking pace, surely. 5 minutes, 30 seconds going into point 3? This surely is close to a record.
At Dallas Fuel, they did throw everything they had at that. Threw 4 ultimates just to make sure they captured that. But that's 100% worth it in that situation because, as you said, Jack, they got 5.5 minutes remaining. Shanghai Dragons should have the advantage in this fight, though.
Here it is. Everybody click all your ults at the same time. It works. No one down just yet. Overclock. Those Dragons center flying towards Edison, but he's kept alive by MCD and Bliss in the backline. 5 minutes to go as MCD can step up now with the window. Looks like they maybe want to teleport though. So there we go. Teleport onto the high ground. Oh my.
Iris down.
Iris, yeah, didn't see what coming to him. Blade though coming through from Viper, looking clean with it still. Instantly knows when to pop the Blade, and that's the big disadvantage there of teleporting all of the team. That Blade slash AoE damage is way too much for them to heal up.
Yeah, cute idea from the Dallas Fuel, but Viper had the exact answer they needed at the right time. So finally we see the Shanghai Dragons stabilize, slow the push down from the Dallas Fuel. Oh no, they try to go aggressive. Hisu gets taken down first.
And they do end up trading, but a sound barrier even utilized by the Dragons, fighting onto, looks like they're fighting over second point right now in the castle.
If you're the Dallas Fuel, you're fine. If they want to use sound barrier and the amplification matrix that aggressive, you just take that 20-second loss, 30-second loss of time, and you just come back with more ultimates, because now all of a sudden that massive bank of ultimates the Dragons have, they've used it all up, and it's Dallas Fuel's turn.
Yeah, I mean, Harmon's pretty quick at charging the Assault too. Might have a free rampage if Gang Jin can't output some healing. Here comes the mortars. Fate's going to eat them up with the spear spin. A couple of late ones there coming through from Edison. Rather cheeky. Don't catch Dragons unawares though. He's taking a fair bit. Almost got blown up by the grenade as Edison launched it into the backline, and now they're stepping up to the final corner. Sparkle with the wall. Not going to use that teleport just yet. They're just going to just chew through Fate's health bar instead. Already gone golden, but Iris is already dead. Second fight in a row that he goes down. Edison with 2 kills. There's... I mean, that Terror Surge looked pretty wicked, dragging everybody in, but it was dragging everybody into a demise. Unfortunately, Fate. And there you go. Almost a 4-minute time bank. We'll call it 4 minutes. 3 minutes, 59 seconds. It'll do versus the single minute for the Dragons.
Dallas Fuel just biding their time, waiting for their ultimates to come back online, and then just, as you said, Jack, just press Q, overwhelm them with ultimates, and there's just nothing the Dragons can do at that point. And now, you know, we were excited for the Shanghai Dragons to cap with time, but Dallas Fuel's just done it so much better as we watch Harbin go with the carnage once again.
That rampage was huge.
No lamp.
I mean, the Dallas
What do you do?
It does... Oh man, they do really remind me of London. And like, just because they're just very good at this comp, right? They've been flexing a little bit more than I'd say London have, especially with Sparkle going over to Genji, although we've seen London and Spitfire do that a lot as well. But you put Harbin on Queen, it's like putting Hardy on Ryan. Like, you know what you're going to get, and that is like a world-class performance on that hero. It's shaping up to be a very good patch for them, and maybe even a preceding one with Zarya potentially coming up too. But back to the game at hand with a minute versus 4. I mean, this is just Dragons staring down the barrel of a 2-0 by the looks of it right now.
You have to hope that you can get a nano boost up. You can do something that will enable you to get that first cap, because once you get into overtime push, anything is possible. They have Iris back on this Ana. I like this pick. That's what gave them the advantage on their last offense. Play into your strengths. Play into what worked.
Are you going to be able to charge up a nano and give it to Viper quick enough though? That's the question.
They can't lose anyone while they charge. They have to just focus on getting this nano boost up or trying to find a pick. But if they lose Fate or anyone else after the 30-second time bank is ticked down, it's going to be impossible for them to get a fair fight again.
Well, put it this way, 30 seconds are gone. He hasn't got half a nano yet.
Here's down, actually.
Uh-oh, only Lucio heals. He's in trouble, and here's the go button. Dallas Fuel. Well, there's the fight. And now it's going to be a staggered one.
They did get a tick and a half, which is nice. They know that Gangnam Jin's lurking around. Got away with it on Lee Jung Tower.
I think maybe, yeah, I think maybe he thought he could hide, but now no one could touch, right? Viper, Tracer, has he got a blink left? Oh, he's got one more, okay. Does manage to get there, even with the turrets hindering his movement there for a brief moment. Fate on the Doom, already almost dead. Gets anti, no kill coming through just yet though. Axe swing onto Viper, ends up going down to a right click of all things from Sparkle. They're still managing to touch here, Scott, but how long for is the question. One more is required. No, Gangnam Jin. Oh, we couldn't get there in time. 44%, we'll call it 45.
How generous of you, Jack, to give it 45% to the Dragons.
I've been rounding up. You can't do maths on broadcast.
Even the game rounded up. It says capture progress, 45%.
Yeah,
wow.
I'm crazy, bro. Dude, even the game's being nice to them.
Yeah, you know, they feel bad. They're like, hey, you know, we understand that you got 44.9, but we'll make it 45 just because Dallas Fuel has 4 minutes to push again. You know, we'll look out for you.
We'll give you an extra 0.1% on us, on the house.
See, you know, honestly, good to see the Overwatch gods smiling down on the Shanghai Dragons. Unfortunately, the Dallas Fuel are grimacing down at them, and they are just taking no survivors, because right now it feels like the Dallas Fuel just have been able to run over the Dragons whenever they've needed to, and they just didn't get their win condition up. They needed to get the nano boost, but a consistent factor that has happened through this map. In the first map, it was Fate, unable to stay alive. So far, this map, Iris has been getting picked off first, time and time again, primarily due to great TP engages from the Dallas Fuel, but Iris needs to find a way to stay alive.
Let me ponder my Dallas Fuel orb real quick.
Okay, yeah, what does it say?
Sparkle.
Yes.
TPs onto Iris. They dunk on him. The 5-man simultaneous, like Olympic-style teabag, and then they go onto the point and just win the match.
So like synchronized teabagging as like an Olympic sport.
Yeah,
okay, yeah, no, I like it.
But the first bit's definitely going to happen. They're definitely just going to try and TP on Iris and just blow him up.
And how do you deal with this if you're the Dragons? You know a shout TP is coming, but they could go in either direction. They could go left, they could go right. How do you position if you're Iris as the Ana?
Yeah, I mean, you hide in bar, I guess, but like even there is just an awful place if they TP onto you. Well, there's the teleport. It's not onto Iris, it's onto Gangnam Jim of all people who, oh, no, it's not. Okay, it's Hisu that goes down first. Gangnam Jim is like, I'm going to save my KDA. Saw the stats at the beginning of the show. Didn't like it. There goes Fate, Iris, and there goes the Dragons. Dallas Fuel just making light work of the situation at hand. A 2-0, looking like a 3-0 in just a moment. I mean, the Dragons, they come up large when Viper gets Nano, when he gets the Blades. Viper is an incredibly talented player, but you just can't rely on him right now just solely to try and win this match. It's very much looking like a Dallas Fuel game, and even a patch too.
Individual brilliance isn't going to get you over the line in this meta. You need coordination, you need teamwork, exactly like the Dallas Fuel is showing me right now. I'm seeing great signs for the Dallas Fuel that they might be able to sort of move further in this bracket and potentially make it all the way to Toronto.
Well, there you go. Dallas Fuel sight set on Toronto. Dragons their first hurdle. They're about to cross it in just a moment after this break. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Shanghai Dragons and the Dallas Fuel facing off. I don't know if you've only just tuned in, but yeah, the Dallas Fuel, they're 2-0.
Is Shanghai winning?
Close.
No, not winning. No.
Hey guys, has Shanghai been winning? No, unfortunately, no. There's some Shanghai signs in the audience right now. Please win, it says. So, little rough, but it's okay. I'm sure they'll win the next map. I'm sure.
Yeah, no, hey, there's always an opportunity. Maybe we'll see the Shanghai Dragons go in a different direction. This is, they've tried the Orisa, they've tried the Riot Heart. Let's just keep throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. We are moving over to Flashpoint. It's going to be Suravasa. So the issue that you run into here if you're the Shanghai Dragons is you kind of need to play Lucio. Junker Queen, Lucio, those types of rush styles are so good on these broad open maps like Suravasa.
But
okay, I'm excited for this.
The thing is, I don't really have an answer to what you just said.
Okay, that's great.
Because the Dallas Fuel are going to play Junker Queen. They're going to play Lucio. And they're just going to run over the Dragons unless they do something about it. Like, it's been tough because, especially with Flashpoint, you expect the team that's better at Rush, the team that's better with Lucio, even like Sim TPs, right? Anything that's like very, very heavy brawl to come out on top. And the Dragons just, they can't really do that unless they have something like a Nano on Viper or like Hisu rips a really good overclock. And it's just been very much been ultimate reliant, whereas the neutral game for the Dallas Fuel and just inherently in their comp is just so much better. And I feel like with Flashpoint, it's very much inherently a neutral game kind of game mode. You're not really like fighting over and like timing big ultimates. You're just wanting to brawl like in the neutral a lot of the time.
We get no more turning back for Shanghai Dragons on that sign right there. So honestly, there is nowhere to go. Yeah, you've got the juggernaut of the Dallas Fuel standing in front of you. You're down 2-0. If you're going to start the epic reverse sweep, it's good to start it. If you're going to do a David versus Goliath story, you need to go down 2 maps. So maybe they're just setting up the most epic comeback of all time, Jack.
Okay. All right. Chat, thoughts on that statement? Because, I'm not buying that one. I'm not buying it. I just don't see it. At least of the Dragons, though, it is... I was going to say, it's a good opportunity to get some practice against the Dallas Fuel, but, double elimination, you probably will have to face them again at some point, even if you do make the lower bracket run, but we'll see how, obviously, the game later on today ends up turning out as well, because Seoul Dynasty are looking pretty decent too. It's just been a rough time for the Dragons. The last 2 matches, Scott, were like we were saying at the top of the show, lost by SPG, teams that you really don't want to lose to. Maybe O2 Blast on a good day, although they did win against O2 Blast the last time they met them. O2 Blast have been fairly dominant, but Dragons very much in a rut, and this is the worst place to be in a rut, is in the play-ins.
Yeah, but Shanghai Dragons, they've been in a rut all year, and that's sort of been the disappointment for this roster as a whole. Is Shanghai Dragons, such a storied franchise, obviously been a brilliant team throughout the last few years, but they've fallen such a long way, while Dallas Fuel in a similar boat where they really struggled this season to live up to their championship winning hype of last year after losing Fielder and Chio. But it's starting to feel like they're finding at least a little bit of form in this series right now, and Shanghai Dragons are just going to come out and play the Orisa Ana like we saw from them in Eichenwald. Maybe believing it'll work better on this map, or maybe just don't have any more tricks up their sleeve.
I think Ana's pretty decent on this map, but again, the problem is the Ana just doesn't have a lot to peel for herself apart from that nade. Like, you want to use that nade aggressively on Harbin, like on cooldown, right, when he makes an engagement, but more often than not, Iris is either getting picked first by someone like Sparkle, or he's having to use the nade on himself, so he can't anti-Harbin at the end of it. I mean, how do Dragons even step up to this? A lot of healing and sustain, luckily. In fact, forcing the lamp on the side of the Dallas Fuel. Nice anti. 4-man anti in the front line. The Viper can just now clean up. There's 2 kills already. It hasn't got a reset just yet. It's getting chased down. Harbin ends up cleaning up. Of course it's Harbin. I mean, now Iris is in trouble too. Might be able to win out the duel if he's a bit sneaky with it. Oh, he's missing shots. Oh, no. And Harbin gets the reset on the shout cooldown. And there you go. Look at that mean mug as well from Hanbin. Just absolutely mogging the guy on the other side of the screen right now.
It feels like a single player encounter where you walk into the boss fight room and there's like 4 little dudes and 1 big boss in the middle. Hanbin's that big boss.
He's trying to shoot. He's missing because he's panicking.
They killed all the little lads, and then Hanbin's just there, and he beats the Shanghai Dragons down. Like, Era's hit the best biotic grenade you could ask for. Viper started cleaning up, but it just wasn't enough for them to be able to hold into that fight. See if they can do better. Now they have the nano boost up from Eris. Oh, he's gonna help.
Nano boost. Okay, straight onto Viper. Now what can he do? Edison pulls the wheels mode. Viper permanently have to back off right now, but it's got a blade and 4%. But Viper, no deflect now. No dash. Oh, I say that. Okay, I tell a lie. He had a dash. He got a blade. He had the reset with a dash straight up into the air. MCD in trouble, but Edison just picks him out of the skies. Dallas Fuel still alive and well, though, on the point, even though they got no healers. Edison keeping himself alive and keeping Dallas Fuel in this fight. They got no business being in this one.
He has a rampage. I wouldn't be surprised to see Hanbin pull this. If he can get a little bit of help, he can just step up, pop the rampage, and there's nothing the Dragon's going to be able to do because Gangnam Jin does not have the sound barrier anymore.
Yeah, and the additional healing from the Rampage too is kind of scary. I think Dallas Fuel are pretty happy to reset this. If they can just use Rampage in this fight, Scott, that's a big W. They'll take the point too. All right, they're going to use the Bashnot, at least to start off with. Nice, a few spears. Iris takes 1 to the chops, but ends up surviving. Nade into the backline. Fate forced to go golden. And he
great dagger.
Pulls the overclock, but another just spectacular dagger from Hanbin. This guy just doesn't miss. Somewhat checking PC.
Hanbin has just been an exceptional player for the Dallas Fuel. Obviously, he had his weaknesses playing the Winston. It's not his bread and butter. He's used to having his boy Fearless fill in that hole. But when you get Hanbin on a hero that he's comfortable on, he just takes over the game. And like Dragons, they use so many ultimates once again to find themselves one team fight, Jack. But it's just not enough. They lose in the neutral game. Dallas Fuel just seem to consistently find value when Shanghai Dragons don't have the ultimates to respond.
Oh, boy, you got to be a little bit more careful than that. Nice knife again. There's the nano on Viper once more. Headshot onto Edison. Oh, what a clean right click, but a sparkle with an instant ghost dash there onto Iris.
Pull it, Hanbin. There he goes for it.
Oh, of course he does. A little bit extra healing. Don't need healers. No one heal me. Well, might need a little bit more healing than that, maybe. But it's not, but end up going down. Nice fight win there for the Dragons. They're going to claim the point first. Messy fight, though.
Hey, honestly, great play. Shanghai Dragons did a great job of punishing the aggression from the Dallas Fuel. Hanbin, he's the one who makes the mistake, definitely getting a little bit overconfident and ripping that rampage. I know I was the devil on his shoulder telling him to do it, but, you know...
Oh, he's... Oh
only just making it over the wall.
Was that Bastion just... Oh, was that Lucio? Okay, it's got to be the funniest sound effect in the game when someone's walking into a disruptor shot. Well, here's the blade from Viper. And that lamp's pretty decent, but not decent enough. Nice little reset there with the help of the Gangnam Jin. MCD, no lamp to be seen. Nice deflect, too. So, reset here. Reset angle for the Dallas Fuel. God, Viper's so good on the Genji. 2 Genji gods actually just squaring up to each other.
Dragons are starting to string some team fights together, and 75% and counting. It's going to be difficult for the Dallas Fuel to be able to get onto this point.
Oh my god, Karen Jim has got one shot there by the nade. Here come the mortars. Iris in trouble. That's a nice nade, but Sparkle actually is the one to go down first. Dallas Fuel surely going to give up this point. Can they touch? One person's touching for their team right now as he still ends up going down. Staying face to face with Edison's wheels mode as Hanbin still comes up with kills. How have the Dallas Fuel won this fight?
I have no answers. It felt like, especially with an early pick from Hisu onto a Sparkle, I believe. I have no idea how they managed to get back into it, but Dallas some way get into it, and they didn't have to use the sound barrier. Other ultimates potentially coming online. There is an opportunity for Dallas Fuel to win this 99-0 and swing it back the other way.
Only Dallas Fuel win those, I think.
We have an overclock, another nano again, though. We know how dominant Viper is with these just like flat nanos. Doesn't even need the blade.
Yeah, he's going to pull that whenever he wants. They're trying to get in a good position where they're all kind of lining up, at least getting some additional damage down. Here comes Edison with the turret. The wheels mode. Isu unleashing his ultimate, but He's only finding body shots right now, and with that sound barrier coming through to Dallas Fuel, they're going to make this last fight. Fate falling. If they can find extra staggers here, Scott, that will just be it. And yet they push in with the wheels mode. Nano onto Viper, though. He has to get kills. The window comes out as well. There's one reset, pulls the blade. MCD up in the air. 2 kills for Viper through the window. He doesn't care at all. Just squaring up to Harbin. A late blade, though, coming through from Sparkle. Instantly taking down Viper. Really smartly played. 2 Genji gods just battling it out in the skies. But Sparkle this time comes out on top.
Viper almost claws that fight back for the Shanghai Dragons, even at a player disadvantage with the Nano, with the blade, but it just wasn't enough. Sparkle pulling a blade of his own to close it out. And Dallas Fuel go up 2-0. And now Shanghai Dragons, they're 1 point away from losing this entire series. And Dallas Fuel, they have the Rampage for Harbin. They have the Edison Bastion ultimate as well, which has been hyper effective against the Shanghai Dragons so far in the series. And right now, Dragons have no ultimates to speak of. Everyone below 40%.
Oh, nice. Oh, the boop from Bliss. Oh, what a nice nade from Iris, but the boop is just too good. Cannon Jim at least gets one in return. But, yeah, Viper ends up falling. In fact...
How did he get Sparkle there?
I don't really know. I think maybe just some stray shurikens. But, Bliss coming up large.
And wow, the Shanghai Dragons just... It felt like that last round was their best opportunity to take this, and Dallas Fuel just on a different level because they won that fight without having to use either of those big ultimates that I said they have. Dragons not able to charge up ultimates of their own. They're going to need to come up with some magic, and Viper has been the start of it all, the catalyst that's been able to win them some
wins. Uh-oh, gonna run. Oh, he takes down Viper.
How does he always find value with this ultimate? I don't know,
man. Oh, good kill onto Bliss, though. But, I mean, Harbin's just sat here. Yeah, nice 2-man Rampage. They know they've got to at least even this one up as Hisu finds another kill in this fight. But Harbin, WM1 into the spawn. Dallas Fuel 30% away now from taking this map and the series.
Harbin hits the knife, flings Hisu behind him and says, you guys deal with that one. I'm going after Iris. Yeah. This is last
whole
fight.
Series, unfortunately.
There is a nano up from Iris. Can go on Viper. Hisu with an overclock. They have an opportunity here.
Sound barrier though coming up. There it is. 1% needed from Bliss. Boop onto Ganonjin, who had to touch. Ganonjin pretty low. Nano comes out. Onto Hisu. Overclock. Is it going to be enough? I think it's just too many health bars on the side of Dallas Fuel. Too much over health. And I mean, this has been a series from the Fuel. Not so much from the Dragons. It's looking like my burrito today. That looking a little bit sloppy, that's for sure, from the Shanghai Dragons. Scott, I will say, the Dallas Fuel, though, looking quite clean and comfort picks for them. And they're looking at home and making their way through the upper bracket now as the Shanghai Dragons slipping down to the lowers.
We don't need to sugarcoat it. Let's be honest. The Dallas Fuel were just the much better team in this series. Dallas Fuel are just on a completely different level, playing this Junker Queen setup. I was curious to see how dominant the Dallas Fuel would be in this series, knowing that they had just taken some brutal losses to the Spark. I was wondering if they'd try and reinvent themselves, but no, they're confident in their play, and they were able to show they are just better than the Shanghai Dragons, whose woes just continue to mount up.
Yeah, that was MCD's 100th win as well on Suravasa.
Congratulations.
Dallas Fuel take that
Yippee!
one. 3-0. Yippee! MCD, yippee. And, well, Scott, gotta be, yeah, like you said, being all honesty, it was not close. Shanghai Dragons end up going down to the losers bracket now, as Dallas Fuel end up taking the series. And, well, there was a lot of people who could give it to this series, but player of the match, it's going to be Harbin.
And, you know, he gets it so often, but he absolutely deserves it in this series. His Junker Queen play, his accuracy with the jagged blades, pulling players in, finding opportunities, finding value with the rampages as well. He's just a monster. There's no other way to put it.
He is, yeah. He's just an absolute menace. And I feel like the Dallas Fuel are pretty happy with this patch, right? I mean, you can just stick Harbin on something he's extremely good at, which actually took them to the championships last year, which was the Junker Queen. And if we're going into another patch where Zarya becomes meta, I mean, the Dallas Fuel, I mean, and the fans at home too, they're going to be so happy with the playoffs and then match up to some of the greats in NA. Here's some of the highlights for you from this series from Harbin himself. If they keep playing like this too, they might just go straight to the playoffs without taking a single loss, honestly, Scott.
Well, that's really the big question that we have, right? Obviously, the next match that we have, Guangzhou Charge versus the Seoul Dynasty, it actually has a similar matchup to the one we just saw, where Seoul Dynasty are heavily favored. They are very strong right now. They're kind of what I would call the APAC Toronto Defiant, where they've just been one-tricking this Alari setup almost. And the question that I have is, that is the last boss, in my opinion, that the Dallasville has to get through if they want to punch their ticket to Toronto. They need to prove that they can play coordinated with this Junker Queen style and shut down the high damage output of playing this Alari double flex support setup.
Yeah, that is the big question. The shooter comp, the double flex support, it's pretty devastating to the JQ comp, because you can't really get close to them because they just output so much damage.
But if
JQ does have a tough time standing up to them.
If you coordinate great Symmetra teleporters and you play as a unit and you're coordinating your commanding shouts, exactly like we just saw from the Dallas field, then I believe the Junker Queen composition can work. So honestly, I think the ball is in the Dallas field's court. They just need to be able to play at the top level when it matters the most. They need to have this coordination. Yes, we saw it against the Shanghai Dragons, but that's a small benchmark. That's the early hurdle, as you said, Jack. They need to be able to do it against a team of the quality of the Seoul Dynasty when you have someone of the caliber of Prophet on the other side of the Genji who's going to be able to step up and do damage time and time again.
Right. Well, Dallas Field have an interview for us. Not sure who it is just yet. We'll get that in a minute. I'm going to bring in Unknown for the translation.
안녕하세요. MCD 선수 반갑습니다.
Hello, MCD.
안녕하세요.
네, 플레이인 첫 경기에서 기분 좋은 승리도 하시고 MCD 선수께서는 세트 100승까지 달성하셨습니다. 승리 소감 어떠신가요?
This is your first win in the play-ins and also your 100th map win. How do you feel?
이길 거라고 생각을 해서 그렇게 크게 기쁜 것보다는 좀 당연한 승리였다 생각하고 일단은 다음 경기부터
Well, to be honest, we were expecting to win. We were heavy favorites to win this, and we knew it. So it's not like something that we should be celebrating. More likely focusing on what to do next.
뭐 저희가 뭐 실수했던 거나 아니면 잘했던 것들 좀
So I mean,
위주로
by focus,
얘기하면서
what do you mean?
얘기했던 것 같아요.
Definitely some things on. Well, we did win heavily, but there were some mistakes in between. So probably we should kind of revisit that and kind of fix those issues.
그런 움직임이 많이 보이는데 그런 부분에 대해서는 어떻게 생각하시나요?
I think the Fuel has a very distinct style of play, and a lot of other teams are trying to counter that, like Esports used the Doofus. How do you think about other teams trying to counter your play?
플랜 A를 좀 더 깎아보고 또 그로 인해서 플랜 A로 승리를 해보자 약간 이런 얘기들이 많이 나오고 또 저희가 자신감도 있어서 이제는 카운터를 치지 못할 것 같아요.
So basically, we are having a plan A, and a lot of teams are trying to counter our plan A. We think that if we hone our plan A so good enough to the point that a counter doesn't really matter, then we should be fine.
뭐 딱히 다 만나도 될 것 같은데 그래도 서울 팀이 가장 서울 다이너스가
So
가장
4 teams
잘할 것
competing in the
같아서
play-ins. Which team do you not want to
조심하면
meet or
무난하게
go against?
올라갈 수 있을 것 같아요.
I think we should be able to beat all the teams, but Seoul Dynasty should be a little bit tricky. So maybe that.
앞으로의 각오, 앞으로의 매치에 대한 각오 부탁드립니다.
So you're in the play-ins run now. Let's hear your result before we end the interview.
저희 남은 경기 잘 준비해서 꼭 올라갈 수 있도록 해보겠습니다.
We don't know who we're going against, but we'll definitely do our best so that we can make it to the playoffs. And that's the end of the interview. Back to you, Jack.
Thank you so much, Unknown, for that translation interview. I mean, look, at the end of the day, Scott, they keep playing like this and they manage to find a way around the double flex sport comp, then they might be good for the playoffs. But we got another match coming up after this. Seoul Dynasty versus the Guangzhou Charge. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a bit.